doing what you're asked to do as well. I've wrestled over the years with like, should I be more bold? Should I be singing really Christian songs at secular events? And then the Lord has just gently taught me like his way is gentle. And yes, if the Holy Spirit tells you to go for it, do it. I've sung Gyra at like one of the biggest clubs in Toowoomba. I've sung What a Beautiful Name at one of the busiest cafes in Dalby. Recently, in the last few years, as I've learnt how much the Lord values collaboration and community, I've had to let go of that feeling of, oh, I can do it myself.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Make Jesus Music. I am Velzy and I'm with my co-host and best friend, Walker.
Yeah, good to be here. And we have the wonderful Elizabeth Rae here at 92.9 at Toowoomba Station. They've actually allowed us to use this beautiful space to set up the podcast, and we've invited Toowoomba artists such as Lizzy and other artists around the space to have a bit of a chat and to ask about what God has done in their life.
What a blessing.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
So good to be here in Studio 3. Very fancy in here, isn't it? It's looking good.
Yeah.
They've done a great job. I know the station's put a bit of work into getting this set up, and shout out to them for allowing us to have this space.
100%. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So we are very sorry. We said off the pod that we didn't actually get to make it to your recent performance there at Hume Ridge. And Hume Ridge is basically only 100 meters away from here.
Yeah, it's just down the hill.
And so almost in this space, on the 21st of March, there was an amazing event happening. And so... yeah, tell us about that, because we weren't there. Maybe start introducing what kind of music you actually perform and what the purpose was in this recent experience there at Hume Ridge Church.
Yeah, sure. So this event was called A Night of Worship, and it was a full-length concert experience. And also hand in hand with that was we wanted to put on a worship event. So we wanted the audience to be involved and engaged and singing along with us for a good portion of the evening. So figuring out how to approach that was actually quite a process for my husband Tom and I and a few other creatives that are in our inner circle of like decision-making and planning and visionary things. And what we ended up deciding to do was to do both. So set one was a collection of songs that I call seed sowing songs. So these are compositions that have gospel elements in them, but they're not very overt. The Lord gave me Luke chapter 8 as a mission statement a couple of years ago, and that's where he says, it's the parable of the seeds, of course, and he says, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. And so my take on that is that if you present the gospel in a parable form or in a gentle form, those who are searching for God will find him in that. We don't have to like coerce anyone into hearing the gospel. That's my belief anyway. And then the second part of the night was very much coming together as a congregation, and we invited the audience to participate. We had crowd mics all through the audience, so we actually filmed and recorded the whole night live, and the second set is where we had the audience's voices getting captured as well, which was really beautiful. And our goal with that night was to record a worship album. And so we did. And it's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Very
cool. Amazing.
Very cool. And the title of the album?
Holy Ground.
Holy Ground.
Nice. Is this a mix of your own songs or some covers, things like that?
So everything on the album is original. I did, however, pull from 2 traditional hymns and tied them into 2 of the songs.
Yeah, wow.
I have a real heart for hymns. I grew up singing hymns at nursing homes. My dad was an aged care chaplain and still is here in Toowoomba at Blue Care. So in Coffs Harbour, where I grew up, I used to visit the nursing home where he worked and play the piano and sing, and just marveled at how hymns really do something profound in the heart of the listener, particularly in older people who remember those moments from their childhood or their growing up years. And I love the rich theology in hymns as well, so which I'm very passionate about as a songwriter.
Yeah. What's your favourite?
My favorite hymn, Before the Throne of God Above.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think that that melody is just, it breaks my heart every time I hear it in the best way. And the message of the song, to come boldly before the throne of grace. I really love that song. I also love In Christ Alone. I know that's a more modern hymn, but I definitely would class it as one. And again, that's a song that makes me cry most of the time that I lead it at church. I'll end up in tears, and I think that's the best way to be sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, for sure. What about you guys? Have you got a favorite hymn?
Yeah.
You guys hymn lovers, or are you more like contemporary music?
Well, yeah, we do worship him. So, is I think In the Garden.
Oh, yes.
You like that? In the
I
Garden?
love that
Yeah,
song.
that is a good song. Or Because He Lives.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought about not doing a remix. Not on a
Why not?
disrespect the hymn, but I think just I do have a deep appreciation for people who not changing the words to kind of say, oh, I just want it my way, but to kind of allow a hymn to still contextualize how people can understand things today.
Definitely,
So I've always been fascinated with that idea of being able to, contextualize things and put a modern sound on hymns. I have appreciation for people who do that as well. So, yeah, no, you did a wonderful job at your album and those hymns is lovely.
Yeah, definitely.
But tell us what hymn actually you guys listening, what's your favorite hymn? Drop it in the comments below, because there's a lot of beautiful ones out there, and tell us why. Because that's all part of our storytelling, because they've been around for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
And I think they'll live on forever, won't they?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. And I agree. I think it's wonderful when modern songwriters take them and bring them into new arrangements. And I'm a big fan of that as well. Yeah, it's awesome.
Speaking of arrangements, what was some of the most favorite songs that you had on your album that might have been hard to arrange but really satisfying to kind of just like, oh, yep, this took a long time, or this was my favorite arrangement, or was there anything that like really stood out to you in this project?
Well, we had quite a big team of musicians. So we had bass drums, electric guitar, we had a synth player, and she was also a backing vocalist, a cellist. I was playing the grand piano at the concert, and we also had an acoustic guitarist. And so there's a lot of creative potential among those instruments. So I really enjoyed demoing the songs and getting them ready for the band. But I also didn't do a whole lot before we got together the first time. So I demoed my keys and vocals. But aside from that, I don't think I gave a whole lot of instruction, because I really wanted it to be a collaborative night. I wanted the musicians themselves to bring their offering of worship, not mine, on my behalf, but I wanted them to actually sit in the songs and see what the Lord could do through their instruments. And I remember probably my favorite moment was in that process. I was sitting at a cafe one day. I'd taken some time out from my busy home. I was sitting at Urban Paddock in Dolby, which is just a beautiful little cafe. And I had my laptop and I was listening through the demos, writing down some little tweaks here and there, making sure the lyrics were all sitting really soundly and really well. And then I got a text from my electric guitarist, whose name is Andrew Pomeranke. He's an incredible musician and has done some incredible things. He just every now and then he'll say, oh, when I was with Rob and Mark, and I'm like, what? And he'll be like, oh, when I was on tour with Darlene. And it's like, I think you've got some cool stories, bro. But he doesn't actually talk about it much because he's a very humble man. Yeah. But he texted me and said, hey, I've just put a demo of a part for Forever Free, which is track 4, in our Google Drive. This one really stretched me, he said, which I hadn't heard him say before. He can kind of play with his eyes closed asleep, underwater probably. And he said, let me know what you think about it. And I put my headphones in and I listened to it and I just sobbed at the table. Because when you hear it, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. That part sounds like someone crying out to God. It's actually better than anything I could have written if I'd spent days and days on it. And so that's the kind of beautiful collaboration that took place with this album and with the night itself, was that people brought their own ideas.
Yeah.
So that was probably my favorite moment in arranging, was hearing that part. And I still get teary. I've listened to that song now probably like 30 or 40 times.
Yeah.
And I still tear up every time it gets to that instrumental.
Can't wait to hear it then.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, take us back. Let's hear a bit of your story and
Sure.
how you started on this journey to create the music that you have and getting to that point of collaboration and serving the Lord with your gifts.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's your story? Where have you come from?
Well, I was born in Sydney, spent a couple of years there with my mum and dad. Mum and dad are first generation Christians. So they were both radically saved in their 20s.
Wow.
My dad was a sniper in the army when he was saved. He went down to a little Catholic church with his housemate to have a laugh. I believe they may have consumed some prohibited substances. I hope I'm allowed to say that on the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
And they were sitting in the pew, and this Catholic priest began to share the simple, plain gospel of Jesus, no frills. And Dad was immediately taken by the truth that this is it.
Yeah, wow.
This is the reality. And so while his housemate laughed, he actually went home after that sermon, got on his knees, read all 4 Gospels. He had a little Gideon Bible he'd been given as a child, and he read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all the way through, gave his heart to Jesus, was immediately released from alcohol addiction, and some other pretty heavy things that were going on in his world. Not long after, he left the army and he went to the Salvation Army Bible College to become a warrior for Christ.
Let's go.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's where he met my mum.
Yeah,
so mum, she has her own journey of quite profound suffering in her childhood, growing up in the suburbs of Sydney. And her neighbour invited her to Sunday school. It's as simple as it gets, right? And she started going along with him as a child, got those gospel seeds. Nothing much really happened in her heart until her 20s. And then she decided, you know what? I need Jesus. I need to walk with him.
Yeah.
So again, she pulled up her roots and moved to the Salvation Army Bible College, met Dad. They broke the rules and dated. And the college changed the rules for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
After seeing the journey that they'd been on, they actually decided we're going to allow dating now. So it was pretty profound.
Yeah.
And so that was my context coming into the world, into their relationship as new Christians. My brother is 2 years older than me, so he was born 1991. I was born in 93. We moved from Sydney. So Mum and Dad were still in the Salvation Army, still serving as officers. They were told to go to Brisbane when I was 2 years old. Went to Brizzy, served for a little while there, and then decided, you know what, this life of moving around is actually not for us. So they left the army and we moved to Coffs Harbour, settled in there. When I was about 4, I remember seeing a lady at our little Baptist church leading worship and thinking, there is something about that makes my heart come alive. And watching her and just being moved by the Holy Spirit in times of worship. And when I was about 6 years old, my brother started having piano lessons, and I would listen to him practicing, and he had his little little books that he would follow. And I would be like watching over his shoulder, being an annoying little sister. And then he wouldn't be able to figure something out. He's a very gracious brother. What I'm about to say, he's a good man.
Yeah.
And I would go, oh, I think I know how that goes. And I would reach over and show him how it went, and he'd be very gracious about it, but obviously hey, let me do my thing.
Yeah.
And so the piano teacher that he was learning from started from the age of 8 and not before. Wow. So over those couple of years, I would just watch him, and I couldn't wait to have lessons. And so started at 8. He quit. He was like, this is not my thing. Let Lizzy do it. And I started learning with her. She was a wonderful, fun teacher and just made everything a joy to do with learning music, which is so unique and so precious. And so kept on learning mostly by ear, pretended I was following the music, which in hindsight, I wish I'd learned better how to follow music. And then when I was 11, I wrote my first worship song. I just remember sitting at my little Casio keyboard and it was just like, the words were just, I'd do anything for you, Lord. Yes, I'd do anything for you. And looking back, I guess that was a commissioning song. Like, I'm just willing to use what I have for you and do anything, go anywhere.
Yeah.
I sang it out the front of the Salvation Army Church in Coffs Harbour on the piano. And during that time as well, I'd started singing at school talent quests and, you know, Lizzy McGuire, This Is What Dreams Were Made Of was my first.
Your name's Lizzy too.
I know. I was so proud of that too. I was like, yes, this is perfect.
Yeah. We grew up with that. We're 93 as well.
We're both 93.
No way.
Lizzy McGuire, man.
Yes.
Come on.
93 represent. Yeah, those are great years.
Yeah. That's funny though.
So that was the first song I sang out the front of an audience was This Is What Dreams Are Made Of. I almost thought of doing it as a little cover at the concert just for fun, like just breaking out into it randomly. But I decided, I'd better keep it tame this time around. Maybe next time. Then from there I just kept writing music. And interestingly, I didn't fully give my heart to Jesus until I was 15. But during those early teen years, I was writing a lot of Christian music. And I actually think that it was one of the ways that he was drawing me to himself.
Wow.
Before I even had an awareness of that. And I was like writing theological songs, like listening to what was happening around me in my parents' faith and in church and at the nursing home when my dad was a chaplain. And I guess working out my salvation, you know how Paul says, like we've got to work it out through song. So just like writing the music, and then we'd go over to a little recording studio on Sapphire Beach where a friend had a little studio and we'd record the songs. So I actually released 3 original albums in my teens at 13, 15 and 16.
Wow.
Do you ever look back at them and like cringe a little bit, or were they beautiful?
There's a reason they're not on Spotify. Let's just say that.
I was gonna say, where are they, man?
We'll dig them up.
You know, my mum probably has some in her in like the back blocks of her cupboard. I would say
old CDs.
I think she listens to them still. Actually,
oh yeah, nice.
She's the best. That's cool. So that's kind of how it all started for me. That was the beginning of not only knowing Jesus, but exercising my gifts for him and discovering the gifts. Like, you've got to do that. Hey, you've got to actually figure out what you're here for. We don't just get told at day dot, you're going to be an excellent person in hospitality, or, you know, you're going to be a people connector. You've got to just like follow the instinctive leads that God puts in your heart for a while until they become callings. And then you look back and go, of course, that was what he was doing.
I totally agree. I think, you know, most of my journey in music was probably in the secular space, played in bands and toured and different things. And I think, you know, Walker's been mainly in Christian performances or you know, sub-Christian, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And I think, you know, over time, when we connected, there was this passion that sparked again, whether it was for music. I know like Walker was trying to get me to drum in his band, right? It still is. And by the way, it's called Tell Me I'm Dreaming, which is funny. But I think I was mowing the lawn, and when we first thought of the idea of this podcast, that legitimately came over me while I was mowing, and it was like, you know, the parable of the talents, you know, and why it's important to use the gifts and talents that God's given us.
So good.
Yeah, for the world and for him, you know, to bring people closer to him. And I think, that I didn't pick up a guitar or anything for probably 5 years. Yeah. Because I had just left that space, even using my gifts within church. So, I think that was really big for us. And I think it is so important as a musician, and if God's given you a talent, to use that wisely and use it for Him. And it's so beautiful to hear that you started at such a young age, and that you're still committed to this calling. And you're doing these incredible performances and getting people involved in that. It's not just you, you know. It's other talents, and you know, you're speaking about the young man that's playing an instrument on your band and adding to that, and how it makes you feel. And I'm sure God's just got this way of bringing these people together, bringing us together in this podcast, being able to hear your story. It's just a beautiful journey. So,
Well, it's interesting you say that, because for so many years I did it alone. So at 13, I got my first mainstream gig. And that was an amazing blessing from the Lord. I was playing at a food and wine festival in Coffs Harbour, kind of very much like had never performed in that setting before, but I got the gig kind of miraculously. And I was on the stage for half an hour. And in that half an hour window, a couple who had just bought a cafe at a local beach resort were walking past looking for a live entertainer to have weekly at their cafe in that half an hour space. You can't tell me that's not the Lord.
That's right.
So they went over to my dad, who was my roadie for many years, and they said, you know, can you give us a call? Gave him their card. We went over to the resort, had a chat with them, and they said, we want you to do a regular gig here every week. I did that for 4 years.
Wow.
It was the best way to cut my teeth in music. And I built up a lot of cover songs as well, which now I love doing secular gigs as well. And of course, I always have in mind, I'm a light here. And depending on the Holy Spirit's lead, I'll be very bold at times, or very conservative with how bold I am on the stage. At times it'll be the conversations between sets that actually I'm like, this is why I'm here right now. Get to pray for someone, or just, you know, tell them that there's hope, or, you know, invite them to church. But I also have a great respect for doing what you're asked to do as well. I've wrestled over the years with, like, should I be more bold? Should I be singing really Christian songs at secular events? And then the Lord has just gently taught me, like, His way is gentle. And yes, if the Holy Spirit tells you to go for it, do it. I've sung Gyra at like one of the biggest clubs in Toowoomba. You know, if He tells you to do it, you do it. I've sung What a Beautiful Name at one of the busiest cafes in Dalby. But there's been a lot of gigs where it's just been George Ezra and Kate Miller-Heidke, and just building that relationship with the owners and the audience as well. And then, you know, pick up a few followers here and there on social media, and they're getting that Christian input from me every day. But all that to say, I did it for a long time alone, and I had to unlearn that. So recently, in the last few years, as I've learned how much the Lord values collaboration and community, I've had to let go of that feeling of, oh, I can do it myself. You know, it's like my kids, you know, I can do it myself. Yeah, but I'd like to show you, or I'd like to help you, or I'd like to partner with you, or I'd like to bring in your other siblings to enjoy this moment with you. We're the same as adults, aren't we? We like to do it ourselves. So it was a great journey. Like, moving up here 7 years ago, I prayed that the Lord would bring a band around me. And it was 3 years ago when I got the gig at Freedom Music Festival, my first time performing there. I really felt to reach out to a few people and ask if they'd like to come with me and play as a band. And that's how I met my electric guitarist and my drummer, Sam. And they've been a consistent part of my journey the last 3 years. We've played a lot of stages. So, yeah. It's really special.
Yeah, you did say something that kind of stuck out to me. You said that your father was your roadie for a long time.
Yes, he was. Yeah. I paid him $30 a gig.
There you go. You actually did that? Did you?
How embarrassing.
Wow.
It felt like so much money at that time, but he was like, oh, that's so adorable. He let me pay him, and then he probably paid for other stuff for me with it.
What a commitment, though. I mean, like, us as fathers, and we've been discussing it heaps, because I'm constantly driving my son to basketball games. He's 12 and he's doing these amazing things within the basketball world. We've got to go to Singapore in October and all this other stuff. And it's a constant reminder of what a blessing it is as a father to support your children. And that is such a special thing.
It is.
Shout out to your dad for doing that.
100%.
You know?
Oh, I'm so grateful.
I wish I got paid for driving my son to basketball.
$30.
But
We covered the fuel, maybe.
maybe a bit of help with fuel.
Right?
How good's that? That's awesome. Yeah, amazing.
So cool.
Yeah, it's really special.
So tell us in that journey of, you're sort of indulging into doing different events outside of, worship and church. And so you've got an audience here in worship, and you've also able to outreach and also just participate in being in the world but not of the world that you spoke about beautifully moments ago. Where did you find that sort of even ground to be able to, I suppose, discover your actual sonic identity as an artist? Because you're covering all these songs. And I mean, I know that some, worship singers tend to kind of do a little bit of pop as well and all these sort of other things. So, how would you describe your music, I suppose, as far as what the Lord has given you? I know that people are coming on board and it's a community, it's a collaboration. But sort of where do you see yourself sonically, and where do you see yourself going?
That is such a cool question. I think it is an ever-changing process. I think that as an artist, as life happens and as seasons change, I think even our sound can change. But I do think, and what I'm hearing in your question, that there is, at the end of the day, a core sound inside of an artist. For example, I love, I can turn the Christian radio on and I can tell if it's, an Ethan Beer song within a few seconds, even if I've never heard it before. Or another artist that I listen to a lot is Christy Nockels. If she releases something, I can usually tell before she started singing that it's a Christy Nockels song, because I think that God has put a sound inside of all of us. I even love that often within the same album, you'll hear little echoes of melodies in other songs. I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with having a consistent sound. So, figuring out what that was. So what I ended up doing, in my early 20s, I decided to write an album that I'd be able to sell at my mainstream gigs and not feel as though I was pushing my faith onto my audience. So I wanted to craft these songs to be full of scripture and full of gospel elements, but very much in the way that Jesus told parables to people who didn't yet believe.
Cool.
I wanted to do that with this album. So I wrote this album called Flowers, and there's a song called The Gardener, which is all about John chapter 15, where Jesus describes himself as the vine and the Father the gardener. And it brings this gardener character to life. So it describes him, it describes his hands, that are covered in soil, and him kneeling down and cutting off the branches, and that his face is sad as he's doing it. And, he plants these new seeds, and he knows that as the sun is setting on the seeds, the sun will rise again and those seeds will begin to grow, and he waters them faithfully. And so that making that album was really special. And I think I had to do it. I almost had to get it out of my system, because at that time I was struggling with being a Christian artist. I was really hesitant to commit to that. I wanted to stay present with the unsaved. And I didn't want to just move into this full-on Christian world with my music where people who don't know Jesus would never hear my songs. So I had this real burden on my heart. And so I made that album, and it was really great to make. But looking back on it, I can see in myself a desire to prove myself and to be no, I'm not just a Christian artist. The irony of that is that recording Holy Ground, I've come right back to those roots, 100%. This is a Christian album, and I'm so incredibly proud of it. And it's probably not something I would sell at gigs without at least telling people like, oh, this was recorded at a Christian worship night. I would want people to know and not to feel tricked or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful I have the Flowers album to offer as well. So I see the hand of God in it all, where I was trying to do a thing, you know, to like prove myself. But he was actually so faithful in allowing me to do it. And he was just saying like, if you want to do that, okay, and that'll be useful, but I actually really want you in this Christian worship space. So just resettling into that, you know, 22 years after writing my first worship song has been actually very beautiful in my walk with Jesus.
Wow.
So I'm thoroughly enjoying just owning the Christian artistry and being myself in that has been really cool.
That's amazing. It's been
really
such a hot topic for us lately, hasn't it?
Yeah, okay.
In the conversation of moving in and out of that maybe secular space to Christian space. It's very, very interesting. What do you how do you feel about the Christian music industry at the moment? Like, what's your thoughts on it in Australia specifically?
Yeah, okay. Well, in Australia it's very different, isn't it, to what I would have said. I am seeing platforms rising up, and I think that's really exciting. I think Christian radio has held the fort for the space for the last like 10, 15 years. We had Easter Fest, we had Black Stump Festival. There was quite a lot going on 10 to 15 years ago.
Definitely.
But then for some reason, everything shut down for a time. Well, I think it did. I wasn't aware of any festivals or any kind of gatherings or anything going on.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. But Christian radio, credit to the space of Christian radio for holding that fort while it was pretty quiet on the landscape.
Definitely.
But in saying that, perhaps the Lord was just doing the quiet discipling work in the Christian songwriters community. I have been so excited to see things like this podcast pop up and Oz Music Showcase with Kate Westwood. This Christian radio station has been growing so much in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing this like, it's almost like the artists have always been there quietly, but the platforms are preparing to reveal the artists to the world and to the community, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
I just discovered Eliza King last night. She's a beautiful Aussie singer-songwriter. And she was my algorithm just threw her into my feed last night. And man, what a gifted young woman. And, you know, I see these things happening around me in the world of Christian artists, and I get so excited that I'm in my 30s now. I'm not a young hip artist, you know.
We're not young anymore.
I don't think we are. 93 was last century.
Yeah. We still have working hips, you know.
Speak for yourself now. Thank you, chiropractic. So that's what I'm seeing. Like I'm seeing a sense of momentum growing and a fire being rekindled. Like Freedom Music Festival, I think there's one in Adelaide as well that's been happening down on the South Coast too, in Kiama.
Heart Song springing up, there's one there. And even just different worship communities as well. I think there's things going on for sure.
No one actually knows this, but behind the scenes, we're looking at putting on a festival as well.
You heard it first. That's so
nothing's
exciting.
advertised at this point, but we are
Yeah.
looking at doing Jesus Fest
Sweet.
potentially. So there's a lot of talk in the background at the moment. People we're trying to establish some things with, but I think it is the right time. And like you said, God is calling people to this mission, and I think that's what we felt. You know, we're musicians from early 20s as well, and even before that as teenagers. And I think God was like, now's the time to start building something, and Make Jesus Music has come from that. And it's so great to hear you say that, because it it continues to stir us.
It kindles us too.
Are we doing
So
the right
good.
thing? Yeah, we are. You know,
Yeah, that's
You
right.
are.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So,
Because likewise, the same message is that it's greater than just our own space of music ministry.
Yeah.
And Make Jesus Music, as well as all of these other platforms, have realized that actually we need to open up our arms and our legs and our ability to actually support each other and collaborate.
good.
And so, Make Jesus Music was literally founded on the fact that we wanted to collaborate with artists and give and enjoy Christian music ministry as a whole, rather than just we're just focused on like us as artists or us as just our own sound or something like that.
Yes.
So I think let's go.
good.
Like let's blow up Australia with Christian
Well,
music, man.
Speaking of exclusives, because that was a big deal. I hope the audience caught how big that was.
Yeah.
I had this realization. So we often head down to Tamworth Country Music Festival. We have a mate who plays there regularly, and I sing a little bit with him, and also just enjoy. We love watching him as well and supporting his music. But I recently discovered how Tamworth became the country music capital of Australia. Do you guys know
No,
the
tell us
story?
the story, please.
Like, it's a bit random, right? Like, Tamworth is the golden guitar capital.
Yeah.
It was a radio campaign way back. I think it was the 60s or 70s. And from what I gather behind the scenes, the committee of this team wanted to put Tamworth on the map for something, and they saw that there's a few well-known country artists kind of in and around the area, and so they just made it a thing, guys. Like, you can just do that if God puts it on your heart. I want Toowoomba to be Christian music capital of Australia. I do. I think Easter Fest started here, the biggest Christian music festival in our nation. Amazing years there. I think God was doing something remarkable in that space. Why not make Toowoomba Christian music capital? Australian Christian music doesn't really have its own industry, I suppose, in the same way as like the States and other areas of the world. But with that comes pros and cons, right? I don't think I need to go into them all, but it's kind of nice in a way that there's not a sense of like, there's money to be made here, or like, if you're going to be in it, you're going to be in it for the right reasons, is what I'm saying. In Australia, there's really not like glory to be found in it, which is beautiful. And if we can retain that, but also really create, this platform of linked arms across podcasts and across festivals and worship nights, then something really cool could happen. So I'm calling it now. Toowoomba, Christian music capital of Australia.
Not biased at all.
That's right.
Yeah, great.
I think that's beautiful, though.
I was wondering about your journey as well. For any young ladies out there thinking, oh, wow, like, man, she's got it all together, man.
Oh, no. No, don't think it for a second. Let me go wipe my makeup off my face.
That's right. I mean, for every artist, there's a pull and tug. There's a tug of the heart. We wear our hearts on our sleeve.
Yeah.
And I think there's always ways that I feel like, the devil will say, actually, you might not be good enough, or, hey, look at this, or, hey, you shouldn't be doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Every artist is different. For you, what has been probably one of the biggest struggles in your journey as a Christian, and maybe just, looking into music ministry? Yeah,
great question. There's a few ways I could answer that. Even last week, I was at our beautiful church down the hill, and I was introducing a song that I'd written for a sermon series. And literally during the song, as I was singing it, I was having these thoughts like, who do you think you are singing one of your own songs in front of this audience? You're so prideful. You're so full of yourself. I was literally having these like attacks coming in to my mind mid-song in front of the congregation. And I just had to quietly silence them and take those thoughts captive and say, that is not the truth. That's not my good shepherd. The song is about following the shepherd.
Wow.
And so that, I guess it's called imposter syndrome, like that feeling of like, who are you to assume that you can write a song and sing a song to people and, do something valuable in that space. I definitely have wrestled with that a lot over the years. And in my personal journey, I was diagnosed 5 years ago with PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. 1 in 20 women in Australia have this, and most are undiagnosed. And essentially, without going too far into the details, it means that during a normal month of my life, I can have up to 2 weeks of feeling incredibly anxious, incredibly depressed, having a very low view of my identity. And of course, my music is very tied into that. So I can have a gig booked in and be getting ready for the gig and thinking, I am hopeless. I should not be doing this gig. And my husband is an amazing support in that, and he's never let me quit a gig. I've had so many times where I've been getting ready and gone, I can't do this. And he's gone, all you have to do right now is get dressed and get in the car. That's all you have to do right now, and I will take care of everything else. And so he's been an amazing support to me, and also learning how in a practical way I can manage this disorder. So it's affected the way that I eat. So I'm now gluten-free. So gluten is a massive contributor to PMDD symptoms. It can really raise anxiety levels, and there's a lot of study going on into that at the moment. Caffeine, unfortunately, is a big problem for me as well. So I don't drink coffee as a rule. Actually had one yesterday to see how it would go.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't go well. Super anxious the rest of the day. I was like, oh, great. I thought I could manage it. But yeah, just little things like that. And also having good community around me, having accountability, telling someone out loud what the thoughts are. Even right now, just saying, these are the thoughts last Sunday. You say them out loud and they just dissolve. They just lose their power. And most of all, learning that suffering, that verse, suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. I can testify to that. It is the truth. If I could have taken away PMDD from my life completely, like erased it from my history, the only reason I would is because I feel for my children, what they have seen, the sadness that they have seen in me over the years on the days when I haven't been able to manage it. But I wouldn't take away how much it has built my trust in Jesus and my confidence in him. Yeah. I have to lean on him. Like, I don't get to just go about life being fine and being comfortable. For 2 weeks of the month, I am so uncomfortable in myself. All I can do is lean on him. All I can do is lean on Jesus. Some of my songs have come out of those times as well. So yeah, I'm very grateful for his promise that hope is the end product of suffering. There's perseverance and character and hope. And sometimes the only way to get the depth of those things is the suffering in the first place.
Absolutely.
So yeah, sorry if that was a lot to take in.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being so transparent.
Yeah, that's okay. I love talking about it. I think I've tried to be a bit more bold on my socials in the last year or so with, sharing some information about PMDD. And I have had a number of young women message me and say, hey, I'm going to go to my GP and see if I might have this because I've been having similar struggles. So I'm grateful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I don't think enough people talk about the beauty in suffering.
Yes.
And how, like just being able to rely on Jesus in those moments and having that trust, and it's building you up as a Christian. And beautiful songs are coming out of that. That's amazing. So thank you.
My pleasure. And I think as well, like, even though I mentioned about the things that my kids have seen, I even see God in that because they have a mum who will get down on her knees and apologize.
Yeah.
And a mum who will say, I need Jesus today. And a mum who will say, hey, Evelyn, can you pray for me? I actually really need some prayer. And so perhaps even in that, the enemy has still lost because God still gets the glory at the end of the day. It hasn't been easy for them or easy for my husband. or for myself. But at the end of the day, God's done things that only he can do with those kinds of times of suffering. Yeah.
And that'll be a legacy of knowing what it means to be humble before God too for your kids.
Yeah.
To be able to see, I can be apologetic too and say, sorry, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really beautiful.
Third generation Christian, your children too.
Yes.
So
that's right. Wow.
Amazing.
That's so cool.
It is. It's one of the most
cool.
special moments. I think even for myself, when I was baptized in church, the church pointed out that there was 4 generations, and thank God for my grandfather. What a wonderful man. He steered that ship and took us in the right direction, and now my children love Jesus. So special.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to tell you guys the end of that story. So, when my dad became a Christian, my grandpa, his dad, was a staunch atheist, and he was quite appalled actually about Dad's conversion, and really couldn't see why you would want to follow this Jesus fellow until one day my grandma actually became a believer quite quickly after Dad converted, and she'd been praying for my grandpa and asking him if they could go to church and that kind of thing. One day my dad was preaching up in Townsville where they were based, and he had a sudden revelation from God on the spot, and he said out loud in the middle of his sermon, "And my dad is giving his heart to the Lord tonight." And he went, "What?" It was not planned at all.
Yeah.
And then he finished his sermon, finished the service, packed up, locked the church, and rang my grandparents. And my grandpa had just given his heart to Jesus.
Wow.
And that was thousands of kilometers away.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So he just knew somehow.
He knew. The Lord must have revealed it to him.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the most unexplainable miracles of my family's legacy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then my grandpa and grandma went and did missionary work in Papua New Guinea. And he was sold out for the Lord, guys.
Yeah.
He wrote poetry about Jesus. He became a different man, a new creation. And he was the sweetest grandpa in the world. I just adored him,
That's
loved
amazing.
him. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if there's anything that you would like to leave with anyone who wants to make Jesus music and thinks, well, I may not have the same life as Elizabeth Rae, but I'm looking at making either worship music or looking at how I can best use my giftings. We call it a secular space. I feel like the space is so over. I need to say this. I think that when we say Christian and secular, in some ways we've created the separation.
Good.
And so we've created Christian bookshops.
Yeah.
Nothing against them, but I'm just sort of saying that we've created the void.
Yes.
And I think that Jesus never created the void. He
So
was
good.
just, he was human and God
Love it.
combined in flesh. He was the Messiah, so he brought both together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge to make Jesus music and not to, some people like Christian music, but we say, that's why we say Jesus music, because we want people to understand that you can actually follow Jesus in this secular space or the Christian space. What would you say to anyone who aspires to love Jesus with their craft?
I would say don't use AI. Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry. For more on that, ask me another time.
We'll be here for another hour if we go into
Next time on the podcast. I would say get together with people who love making Jesus music as well and start there. If you love to write lyrics about Jesus but you don't play an instrument, grab the nearest instrument player in your church community or in your life and sit down with them and enjoy some time together. That's what's missing with AI, just coming back to that quickly, is that there's no community in that. So for the sake of the ease, we miss out on those conversations and those life moments, which looking back, they end up being some of the most significant steps in our faith journeys when we actually sit down together as humans created in the image of God and bring our abilities together. So that's where I would start. And I I would say your local church, like where you are, is the place where God has planted you. So if you write a song with someone in your church, ask your pastor if you can share it during church, or even if you could, I don't know, record a video and share it during church if you're not ready to perform live. It depends on your context and where you are, but God will show you. He will open up the doors and give you the next steps. I couldn't agree more, Walker, about the divide. And did you guys, have you heard that song, the Brandon Lake, Nick Jonas collab?
Yeah,
the author.
Yeah, great song.
Oh, great song. It's on my favorites playlist. And I love it because Brandon Lake has done this a couple of times recently where he's collaborated with an artist that has Christian roots but is not necessarily in the Christian music industry. And, you know, it's up to the Lord to determine how they're walking with him.
Definitely.
But how cool that Brandon is literally just running, like obliterating that line between secular and Christian and going, human being created in the image of God. I want to write a song with you. I want to make a song with you.
It's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, I think we can be a lot more trusting of the Lord and a lot less closed off to the world than we sometimes accidentally become.
Can I ask about that? Where's the balance? Because some might argue that being set apart is creating that, you know, so maybe we've made that void because we've aimed to be holy, set apart, you know, thinking of holy ground, right? There is a space that's set aside. We're meant to be peculiar people.
We are.
So, I mean, this is honestly probably a Holy Spirit answer determined on the artist and situation. Because I know that we've said Brandon Lake's, you know, going out and he's reaching out to, you know, these guys that have Christian roots. Yeah. But I mean, some just, you know, for the conversation's sake, some may say that like, well, for Nick Jonas, like he's not fully sold out for Christ. So why should I listen to that song because he's not fully sold out? The message might be outweigh that. Yeah. But if I'm following an artist, do you know what I mean? Is there importance of someone being sold out as a shepherd, as a leader for their audience?
I think that this is why we should never lean on the artists themselves more than the author behind the song, which is the Lord. Wow. Brandon Lake, you know, I hope he's sold out for Jesus for the rest of his life, but we just don't know what's going to happen in his life. Sure. And I think we do this as well with leaders in the church where we will like hinge our belief on the human instead of on the Lord. And a really excellent teacher at a church should spur people to want to read their Bibles more than to listen to him talk or her talk. So, yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I think we should wrestle with it. I think sometimes it's not clear-cut. Sometimes there are situations where we should walk away and go, I don't think I should be spending time in that space anymore. This is actually drawing me away from the Lord. This is drawing me into temptation. That's a great awareness to have. But I guess what I'm saying is that Jesus didn't shy away from the people who had messy lives. And at the same time, he also went to the mountaintop and spent that restorative, replenishing time with the Lord. So I think it's both. And I think it's listening every day to the Holy Spirit and asking him, where do you want me to go? Who do you want me to talk to? Where do you want me to spend my time? And if you find yourself in an uncomfortable place, you know, asking yourself, how can I be light and salt right now? And Lord, give me the grace and the wisdom to navigate the situation. Don't know if that's a good answer, but that's kind of how I do it.
Honestly, I want to give you a high five right now. So
I can't reach you.
Let's go.
Air high
after
five.
the podcast. That is
answer.
great. Amazing. Honestly.
Well, thank you,
Great.
Lord. I did pray and ask him. I was like, how do I answer that question?
Put you on the spot. It's a tough one. We've wrestled with that question,
tough question
since we started this podcast and the direction we wanted to go, you know, and we wanted to be bold, even in the name, like make Jesus music.
Love it.
But how do we, allow any type of artist? We just interviewed a band called The Nouveau very young. They're 21 years old.
I've heard the name. Yeah,
and just so
sold out. But they know what their mission is.
Yeah.
And I think that's they described David, and David had, times where he was, and even Jesus too in his ministry, you just think about there's a season for being in this space. There's a purpose in sowing into this space. And there's also a season and a purpose for sowing into this space. And sometimes the Lord, you said sonically, sometimes we change and stuff as well. But I think that sometimes the Lord wants to teach us certain things through different experiences. Yeah. And so, the correct response, as you've well put before or insinuated, is, Lord, please use me. I'm here. Yes. I'm surrendered. Yeah. Please use me as your instrument to make music however you would like me to. Yeah.
Definitely. I think just like remembering that the battle is not against flesh and blood. There's an unseen enemy, and every person is worthy of respect and dignity. And sometimes it's just having that uncomfortable conversation and getting over myself is kind of half of the problem. And then realizing, that was actually quite pleasant. I enjoyed talking to that person that I probably wouldn't have talked to, gone out of my way to talk to. But that is the way of Jesus. And it is really, really powerful reading the Gospels and seeing him again and again. Going into the dark places and the awkward situations and being more concerned about connecting with that person than what it looks like to everybody else as well. So it's really challenging. It's challenging stuff, as always with Jesus. Yeah. His name is challenging, and I love that you guys have made it literally the center of your podcast. Yeah. And his name alone carries a whole lot of authority. Yeah. So powerful.
Where can we find your music? Where can anyone listening to the podcast follow you and support you? How can we do that?
Yeah, I am on Facebook and Instagram. I have a YouTube account. I will have the album released on Spotify on the 1st of July. If you want to purchase a physical CD or a USB, that's a massive blessing to our family. It's a huge investment in this project. Then you can go to my website, www.elizabethrae.com.au/store, and you'll find everything you need there for ordering CDs or USBs. I also have a bit of merch on there, some tote bags and some mugs.
Hey, fancy tote bags.
Yeah, I should have brought some today. Love a tote. I would love for you to follow along the journey. We're doing some fun little reels at the moment leading up to the album release. So, we'd love to see you there.
No worries. Yeah, no worries. Well, thanks again, Elizabeth Rae, Lizzy, for coming on the podcast. And we've really, really, really enjoyed this one. It's been great.
Thanks, guys.
It's been such a good convo. And
Thank you.
For anyone who is looking to support Lizzy, Elizabeth Rae, please go and follow her and give us a subscribe and a like on this channel as well if you'd like to hear more stories about what it takes to make Jesus music. This is Walker, Belzy, Elizabeth Rae here at 92.9 FM in Toowoomba on the podcast Make Jesus Music. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me.